I remember it had a lovely it was almost like tea, because all the furniture, you know, the matting and the upholstery and the furniture kind of turned it into this lovely brown colour, and it had a nice warm smell to it as well. So it was like furniture, it was like sofa tea really, we were throwing in. But it was actually warm on the set. It was quite warm. So that's how we did it, and it was quite a treat to kind of paddle around in it. It worked really well. I mean, it was quite a risky process, but we did it. The other stuff outside, it was all process. It was all special effects. Now, I forget the name of the company that did it. Intervision, I think?
There's a really nice composite shot at the beginning, I think, where the grandmother is standing by the train tracks.
The train, yes.
And some
because
mats, I think.
That's right, because we only had about, we constructed about less than 100 feet of the bridge. The rest of it was, well, it wasn't painted in, but whatever process they did, it was pre-digital, so it couldn't have been digital, though it must have been some photographic process, but they fitted the rest of the bridge in. And as I say, also all the water was processed water. We just had to go down and film bits of the street at certain points, and they needed everything had to be almost like a surveyor. It had to be measured out very precisely, and they took all the numbers back and put the water in. The reason, I remember there was a movie called, oh God, what was it called? It was one about kids 4 or 5 kids, and it was narrated by Richard Dreyfuss.
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. That had been done, I think, just a year before, right. And they had done their kind of party piece was that shot where the train comes and all the kids jump out of the way.
Right.
It's almost on a trestle bridge like ours.
That's right. And
it was that sold us. They showed that to us, and that they said they could do that kind of stuff. So that's how they got the job. Intervision, I think they were called.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yes, sir.
Hi. I was just wondering, this is different than most of your films, and certainly the ones up to this point, in that it's really, while your other films have lots of characters and lots of, bits, this is really focused on the 3 characters and then later the 2. I was just wondering, was that a different feeling for you? Did you have temptations to start developing other people and bringing them in?
No, I didn't, because in a way I was just trying to, I just kind of relaxed and fell into the embrace of the novel in a way, And so if there was any point where I was questioning things, I would just revert to the novel and actually read it and take that as guidance, So it was a safety net, and it was also a very helpful thing to have the novel, because I didn't really. I mean, you can adapt a novel in many different ways. You can take it as a kind of jumping off point and take it in different places, or you can transpose it in many different ways. But I really just wanted to get. There were maybe, if I looked at it now, there'd maybe be 5 or 6 scenes that I just wanted to film, and the rest of the film is just joining these scenes up. There were just certain things in it that I wanted to capture, but they were all in the novel. So that was really the guiding thing throughout it.
There are also except for the sheriff, no principal characters that aren't women, and I imagine that was something new for you too. But maybe the novel. Maybe would you say the same thing, that the novel, just sticking to that, made it easy for you to do a film where all the characters were women?
Exactly. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it. It reminds me of something, because when I was working with Diane Keaton on it, I hadn't any experience of working with name actors before in that kind of way. Burt Lancaster was something different. He just turned up and delivered a performance, but I didn't know how you treated these people, and maybe part of the reason why Diane Keaton eventually didn't want to do the films, because I hadn't performed in the way that a director's supposed to perform, because we had one or 2 meetings, and she said her people had read it and all that, and she was wondering whether there might be a possibility that maybe there could be. This is before we shot it, so the sheriff wasn't the 65-year-old guy that we had, but in my mind he always was that, but she said maybe she could have, maybe there's a little thing between her and the sheriff, you know, something like that. So I didn't know that what I was supposed to do then was go away and rewrite some scenes with a younger sheriff, but so I just I wasn't up to it.
Even if you were to toss them later, you could at least say
I should have,
tried.
yeah, because I'm sure other guys, smarter guys, would have gone through, spent some energy going through all that, you know, but I just didn't know any better, so I just turned up and said, well, we've got the frocks, do you want to try them on?
Was that a lesson you learned later on when working with Burt Reynolds and Robin Williams?
No, I didn't learn it.
Let's see. Yeah, somebody right here.
You were talking about your experience trying to bring the book to life, and I had a question with regard to that. There's this parallel between the older sisters and the younger sisters. Lucille's the one who says, I'm not like her. And then she goes talking about how she wants to run away to Boston. And she's the one, at that point, you feel like she's the one who is going to go running off. Whereas the other one felt like she was the one, if ever she was one of them was going to kill herself, she would be the one. She was kind of depressed. How much of that was right from the book, and how much of that was just your way of expressing what the book expressed to you?
It probably was straight from the book, really. Because, as I say, when I cut the book into these pieces, I didn't really edit them in my head. You know, I didn't say, well, that worked, but maybe I should turn it around a little bit. I really did. But my whole task was just to render the book into celluloid. You know, I didn't really have any notion of changing anything, and I just relied on Marlon's on what she'd done. I almost skipped a kind of editorial process in my own head. I really did. It might have been out of laziness or whatever. See, the other thing was that I made this whole thing without fully comprehending the book. It was like an act of faith in a way, because there were, these questions you raised, I filmed scenes and I didn't know why I was filming them. The whole thing about when they went out to that on the lake and the house and the forest and all that, I had no idea what that was about. But I knew that it had to be in the film, because if that hadn't been there, something wouldn't have worked. And I remember we spent 4 or 5 days going out and doing that, and every day I thought maybe I should tell someone. I don't know why we're doing this, but I didn't ever. So there is a sense. In retrospect, I'm quite pleased about that, because it retains that kind of slight area of incomprehension and mystery that should be there anyway, I think, in reading or watching or whatever, you know.
It's something like that allows not only you as an audience member when you're watching your own film, but also anybody else who's going to watch it to put in their own meaning to that scene and what the abandoned house means and the marshmallow and everything. You just have, and knowing Marlon now and having read her recent books, I know that she's the same. I know she's capable of writing a scene and not looking to nail it, you know. It's one of the best things I think any artist can do. Yeah, there's somebody in the balcony.
Hello. Do you mind talking a little bit about the post-production, marketing, distribution, being the American studio film that you're making instead of the previous films?
Well, sorry, I didn't hear where the voice was coming from. All right,
I'm right here.
Okay. What the experience of it?
Well, I was curious whether there were any changes that the studio executives wanted, and whether there were involvement of David Putnam still.
I was very lucky on this one. Usually there are even tiny things, but in this one, no. We did have a preview process, but for a studio film, it was such a small film, such a cheap film, that I don't think that it mattered to anyone too much. And as long as it was under 2 hours, that was the only thing. So we might have fought over 3 or 4 minutes worth of things. But no, there was no big deal about we have to change this or reshoot that or whatever. No, it was a very benign experience in that way.